As C.S. Lewis once said, there are far, far better things ahead than what we leave behind. And I don't think that we're talking about Saints Row, the remake, reboot, whatever you want to call it. I feel like what we left behind was better than what we're getting now. So for the Saints Row reboot in 2022, yeah, I feel like this quote, I'm sure C.S. Lewis wasn't trying to refer to this game, but I feel like it's very appropriate for this game. This is the 5th Saints Row, and it's like a back to basics, like classics to the classic series. Like gone are these like dildos and other random weird weapons, and like sort of like the frills of the game sort of being trimmed down a bit. Back to the roots. It's an open world like gangland video game. It's got pistols, automatics, sort of like futuristic like cops in this game when you start, and some light humor, but the humor doesn't get, I think, too out there. The focus of this Saints Row is like the gang and earning money for your gang, so you're trying to take over the city. The frills of the last few games, as I said, being trimmed, favor gang-related business ventures and fighting, like infighting or fighting within the city. The most impressive part of this game, I feel like, is the character customization. You can choose like socks, your like pants, your boots, like it's just ridiculous. Shades, your eye color, hair color. Like this sounds like standard stuff, but like it's taken to such an extreme of how you can customize your character, like voices. This sounds like standard fare, but this is done to such an extreme that like I've never seen it done to this extreme quite like this. And like the graphics are vibrant, especially when you're searching through the sands of like Santo Islao. That's how you pronounce it, Ilislo. And the sounds are decent too. I just feel like the pistols and stuff, like they just don't have the same impact. Like they're sufficient, but like they just like the graphics like as well. Like I feel like the graphics are good too, but like some areas of the game look a lot better than other areas. It's sort of hard to describe. Like for some reason the graphics and sound, even though they look good, somehow they feel lacking somehow. So also one of my major criticisms of this game I felt was the enemies seemed like bullet sponges. They just refuse to die without taking like at least a dozen bullets each. It's like it's ridiculous. Like you're firing like a whole round of your automatic at the start of the game, and like each enemy, there's like 10 enemies and they're all shooting at you, and it's like, okay, I should be dead by now, but like this game's very forgiving. So there's no cover system, which I really felt like this should be like Gears of War, but it's not Gears of War. And like just the way that the game character moves and everything, like you can roll out of the way, but like you might as well just duck behind a wall. So yeah, I found like I was strafing in circles and waiting in battles for my health to come back, which is kind of boring to like just constantly be going in circles. And yeah, it just made firefights like pretty conventional and kind of boring and repetitive. Like instead of exciting where I'm like behind cover and having bullets shooting at me, I just found like, okay, instead I'm like just playing the same way for like a while, and that's why it was like more of a chore to do the fights and get into like the crossfire than, you know, it being an exciting experience. Yeah, so also there's like a lack of interactivity in the that's common in other open world games. Like I know GTA 5 is like the standard, and here you cannot play as like the arcade cabinets in the malls or levels areas. You can't take money from ATMs. You can't ride bikes and bike racks. You know, you can't go inside casinos. Maybe that changed in DLC because there's DLC coming, but you can shoot up the world around you and smash it or leap from it, but you can't actually like interact with it so much. So it doesn't feel like a super vibrant world in that sense. It looks like it is, but when you try and interact with it, it doesn't. Sometimes missions would break. I didn't experience that so much, but like heists not appearing or button prompts not responding. But I just found there were a lot of bugs. Like that's what I noticed right away. One bug I had, like I was waiting minutes for like I just finished the first mission, and literally I was at a black screen, and my computer, you could see like it was trying to load something, but like I was just stuck there. So finally, as like a last resort, I hit the escape key, and suddenly the cutscene loaded. And it's like, yo, I was thinking like, oh, it must be loading like a whole world. It must be like No Man's Sky. It must be loading up the universe. No, it was just like a 5-10 second cutscene, and then it puts you into like a small area. So it's like, what was loading up for 5 minutes? Like, it was such a weird bug. Like, I haven't seen something like that for a long time. And this game is generally like, it looks beautiful, but like as I said, it's very glitchy. They haven't patched out stuff, unfortunately. Um, so yeah, the game just decided to let me continue onwards. It's like, hey, you can play now. Like, I know you wanted to play before, but I was busy loading something. I was loading up a whole different game while you were waiting for Saints Row. So yeah, the business ventures, they all have the same objectives. Each one, like, want a new business? Oh, steal a bunch of vehicles, trucks, or cars. Want more money from your businesses? Okay. Like, clear a ton of enemies in a protection racket job in a new district. Repeat. A lot. So, like, there's a lot of cut and paste game mechanics, and that's why it gets boring and, like, it feels stale. Like, you've played this before. So, like, even the graphics are a new coat of paint. They've trimmed things down, I feel like, to the point where you feel like, okay, I played this open world game before. This is Saints Row, but it's missing like the eccentricities of past Saints Rows, I feel like. So yeah, it just feels like ultimately it feels like a shallow sandbox Grand Theft Auto game with nice graphics but buggy missions, but it's lacking with no real new gameplay experiences that brings the series or genre meaningfully forwards. And the games don't have to necessarily bring things forwards as long as they're fun, but like this just feels like a sluggish chore to get through the missions. And like, I even saved in the prologue, and I noticed it saved, and then when I load my save game up last night to continue so I could finish this review, it didn't register my save, so I had to start all over from the beginning of the mission. So even though it was only like 20 minutes, it was just a pain. I'm like, oh, do I want to start, do this? And I'm like, yeah, I want to see where things go with this game. And it's got cool moments, but like a lot of it is the same old shooting. It's just, there's nothing to break that shooting and like the circling around, as I said, dodging, regenerating health. Like, there's nothing to break that up, and that's a shame. Like, it makes the game feel monotonous, unfortunately, when it shouldn't. And yeah, it just feels, I feel like this is a 6 out of 10. Like, if you desperately need a new like mafia like game or anything that's like similar to GTA while you're waiting for GTA 6 or some other game that's similar to that, pick this up. It's just for the price. I think it was like $100 for like the expansion plus the main game. Like, that's insane. This is like a $20-$30 game in my opinion, and like it's going for over $100 brand new. Yeah, it just falls short of being like a novel gaming experience that you didn't experience like 10 years ago. Like, you could buy Saints Row 4 for like $5 or less. Like, they were giving it away, and like, even though it looks dated now, it's just, there's more gameplay mechanics and more enjoyable. And this game, unfortunately, they trimmed it down to the point where it's missing all that. So anyways, I say 6 out of 10. Keep on being saintly, keep on gaming. Ciao, bye.